Hello, good evening. Welcome in, everyone, to the ARMA Team League Season 3 Finals Table. First two games will be starting tonight. With you tonight is just me. I've had a very busy week, and last couple of days I wasn't able to really figure out who I can get to co-commentate, but that's fine. I'll do my best to provide the best commentary I can for you guys. So we've got a cracker of a first game. Well, first of all, we'll bring up the stats. So this is where we sit after the halving of the points. UNSW is in first with 367, and Tanya Sensation begins in fourth with 113.9. So with a gap of, what is that? It's about 250 points. That is a gap that is more than achievable within two games. You know, because it's one table for both games. Tanya gets two first, UNSW gets two fourths. You know, those positions can easily be swapped, you know, depending on the gaps that might happen. So yeah, no, it's all up for play. We're really excited to see how these games are going to go. For the first table, we have here, if I bring up the schedule, you can see here on the right, Hapon for UNSW Wanderers, Jay for Run Devil Run, Rachel for Itsu Ancode, Reika for Tanya Sensation. These are all really good players. I mean, pretty much every player in these four teams, they're all really good players. Otherwise, you know, they wouldn't be here. So we're really interested to see the level of play that will be on offer tonight. In fact, I think out of everyone on the first table, I think Jay Cheeks-chan had the worst season. You know, and obviously for anyone who doesn't know, he is a Ho level player, so we know he can definitely perform under pressure. I wonder why Hapon is not on the top. I mean, Hapon had a very good season as well from memory. He's fourth. Yeah, I mean, UNSW had an amazing season, regardless of anyone's individual standings. So yeah, all these players are really good. The game started on time, so we should be pretty much ready to start any minute now. I'm gonna bring up the lobby. Should be within the next 2 minutes at most. So yeah, super excited. Yeah, not much more to say. Yeah, all these players are really, really good. So very excited. So we'll have to see. So obviously, in terms of strategies, we're looking for Reika with Tanya Sensation to be pulling off a strong first in this first Hanchan to really bring his team back into it. The other three teams are all pretty much within one game with each other, maybe two. But Tanya Sensation is the trailer here. So with 4 games to play, obviously, as I said before, they have more than their own fair share shot at hitting first here, but they will have to start with this first Hanchan. In the driver's seat, we'll be sitting with Hapon in East. And in this first hand, so what do we have here? We have paired to Chun, 2 Akadora. Is not a bad starting hand. Couple pairs. There's a couple of different ways this hand can go. Over in the south seat, we have Reika for Tanya Sensation, who starts with an encore of the 1-mans and pretty good shapes in the Sozo and a complete ramen in the Manzu as well. That free Sozo is a really good draw for them as well. In fact, I think that's Tenpai. No, not quite. Not quite. On the opposite end, we've got Rachel playing for Itsu Anko. Yes. Paired Dora plus the remaining Akadora. A couple of different ways their hand can go as well. They need to have a bit of help to get to Tenpai on time, though, with the pace that Reika is showing. And finally, over in the west seat, we have Jay for Run Devil Run. Very nice shapes overall. Hanging door for now, though, he'll be hoping to pick up a pair of those to work that into the hand, to avoid having to discard it, obviously. So, this stage we're pretty much just waiting to see who hits the first Tenpai. It is Reika with this 4-so draw. They can choose to Richi here, waiting on the 7-so for a Richi only. So we'll have to see how they choose. They choose to discard it, probably eyeing off the Itsu instead, which would be a more preferable Yaku to hit, much more value. Looking back at the dealer Hapon here, does have now 4 pairs, so we'll have to see exactly how they want to proceed with the hand from here. If they choose to go the Chitoitsu route, or if they're just waiting for a Chun to maybe open up and go for some sort of Chun Dora 2-hand, which is what I'd expect to see. It's fast and it's got decent value, and it's your dealer, so you know you're looking to just sort of cash in on what you've got. 2 Akadora is not bad at all. Okay, so Reika does chi the 1-so, so he is now Tenpai waiting on the 7-so for Itsu only. Would be a nice way to take away the dealership from Hapon, who does actually pawn the Chun as well, as it is offered. So he is now Ishanten. A couple tiles will get him there. As for the 7-sos, 2 are left in the raw, 2 in Jay's hand. If he does hit Tenpai, there is a chance one of these can come out, although he might end up using it for his pair. No, he does just choose to throw it now. This does deal into the Itsu from Hapon and moves the dealership on. So Hapon starting here with a 9-mana Dora. He does have a Akadora to work with, but not much else really going on here right now. Opposite us, we have Rachel. A pair of the Salves once again, maybe a Honitsu-ish looking hand. Jay on the left with a nice Pinzu shape. A pair of the Wests that they can work with, which is a Yakuhai. And lastly, Hapon. An Akadora. Again, there's a couple pairs here in this hand, so again, depending on the draws will really determine how they want to proceed with the hand. That is the first Dora drawn by Rachel, who chooses to discard it. She also has 4 pairs at this stage, so might be considering Chitoitsu, or might just again be considering sort of Honitsu hand. They can obviously open up the South is Yakuhai, the Chun is Yakuhai, so potential Honitsu Yakuhai hand would be pretty nice for her to go with. And yeah, of course the salves are mochi here. They're not as valuable for Hapon unless they do go the Chitoitsu route, in which case, you know, it doesn't really matter, but they can also obviously use that as a Pinfu pair if they manage to find their way to that. So looking here, Hapon, the dealer now has 3 pairs as well, but they do have some Sozo shape to work with, so it could be exactly deciding how they want to go with that. Here's the 4th pair, if they want to consider Chitoitsu. They do throw 6-pin here, so they're at least entertaining the idea. Here's another pair for Rachel as well, who does discard a Pinzu, so she's also locked in Chitoitsu at this stage. And Jay choosing to throw his Hanging Dora this turn. And Reika choosing to hold on to the 4-so they just drew for now. There's the Chun. Rachel does take it, so Rachel looks to be shifting now to Toi Toi, Yakuhai 2, hopefully for her, which is a not bad hand. obviously. And Jay now also have to choose whether or not to accept this shard, choosing to pass on it at least for now. Another 4-man for Reika now has 2 Anko in the hand. So if they can manage to catch up to Rachel, they could be looking at a rather expensive hand. If they can get the Tenpai, obviously. And Rachel choosing not to take that 2-pin, yeah, definitely confirms she's thinking Toy Toy at this stage. An 8-man draw for her pawn puts them into Ishanten for Chitoitsu also. But they do have other ways to hit Tenpai in this hand still, based on that nice Ipeiko shape in the Manzu. Yeah, it really depends on how the players are feeling. Obviously, Chitoitsu, you can get stuck in these Ishanten shapes a lot, and can be tricky to work around that. So a lot of players tend to avoid it. Jay choosing here to discard his sharp hair. Might be just considering folding at this stage. As his hand doesn't have much value and is still quite far. Reika choosing to pawn the 2-man puts them into Tenpai for potential San Anko if they manage to draw a 9-pin or the last remaining Forso, but obviously that one is in her pawn's hand. And now they can choose to shift the weight, discarding the Arco 5-so to confirm the San Anko. Does obviously allow Rachel to pawn. Now she's waiting on the south and 3-pin. The souths are still mochi. Last 3-pin is in Jay's hand. So this 9-pin in her pawn's hand is a bit dangerous. It might end up flowing out if they choose to not discard the salves. So we'll have to see. They can fold here on the 7-mans. Now the 9-pin does come out. So it does deal in to Reika's Toy Toy, allowing them to retain the dealership and move us into East to Humble 1. Reika, the dealer here, 1-pin Dora, so they do have a Dora in hand, an Aka 5-so as well. The shapes aren't terrible, but it does leave a little bit of catching up to be done, obviously. Rachel, across the way, a pair of the Hatsu, a couple other hanging Yakuhai tiles. This paired up the south. So again, they have a couple options depending on how they want to take the hand. Jay to our left here has a Dora of his own. Some nice shapes in the Sozo and Manzu. Could be a very quick hand for him, getting towards Richi Pinfu sort of idea. Or they can obviously work the Dora in somehow. And lastly, her pawn. Just nice shapes overall, really. Quite close to Ishanten already, and they have some easy ways to get there if they don't want to wait on the Shampon 7-pin. So, but yeah, good hands around the table. That 9-so for Hans. Her pawn might make them also consider Itsu at this stage, which isn't too far away. And yeah, we'll have to watch this hand, see how it proceeds. Rachel, I like Rachel's hand here. Again, you can just go Toy Toy if you want. You can pick up the Hatsu and the South. Choosing to pass on the first one, at least for now. They did also throw away the pair of the Chun in the end, and now Haku's also just flowed out. Might be feeling a little bit of regret, but obviously, you can't expect a Daisangan to just flow into your hand naturally. You kind of just want to go for that speed. They are leaving the choice open still. They do have 1, 2, 3, 4 pairs. So yeah, choices. Choosing to take the Nan allows this hand to just go pretty naturally towards whatever she wants. You can go for just a Yakuhai only, or she can go Chitoitsu, or she can go, not Chitoitsu, Toy Toy, or she can go some kind of Honitsu. But Hapon is closing in on a Tenpai as well. Not too far away. So is Reika the dealer. Though they do have An annoying Kanchan to fill in the Manzu. They do have options of 456 San Shoku available too. We'll have to see if they want to pursue that, keeping onto the extra 6-pin for now at least. And Jay can't quite find the tiles he needs. A lot of shifting around, but still a fair bit away. Erika also not quite finding what he needs at this stage. Does choose to throw the 5-pin, locking in the 6-pin pair. Up until now they were headless, so the pair is good to have. Oh, might be just eyeing off this Itsu now, I imagine. There are 2 8-mans left in the wall. That's the ideal draw for them. I imagine the last 2 will be locked away in Rachel's hand, who is Shanten for a Nan only for now, but obviously can also pick up the Hatsu if the last one comes out, which it'll probably just flow out of somebody's hand if that's the case. Let's say we're paying very close attention to the pause. Alright, so Hapon does hit their Tenpai, waiting on an 8-man of their own for Richie only. So again, 2 8-mans left in the wall. Reika will use theirs. Imagine Rachel will also keep theirs. Jay could also use an 8-man. It's hard to see him coming out from any of the other players. Rachel has hit a Tenpai now with the Hatsu. Natural flow out from Reika. Now we're in the Friso 8-man. So again, 2 8-mans left in the wall. One last Friso is in Jay's hand and is firmly tucked away into a Ryanman, at least for now. But with 1 draw remaining left for each player, I can't see this coming out since there are plenty of safe tiles left for the players to use here. And this will go to Ryokyoku with Rachel and Hapon Tenpai, which will move the dealership on. So in East 3, 5-pin Dora, Rachel starting with a pair of the Chun and an Aka 5-man. Not much else too much going on with the hand for now. I just picked up another pair. She seems to just be accumulating those this Hanchans so far. Jay to our left, a lot of pairs of his own. Pair of the Yakuhai South, just picked up a pair of the Wests as well. Completed a Ryanman shape in the Sozu, leaves his hand with some choices. In front of us, Hapon, a pair of the Haku tiles and some hanging dragon tiles, and a hanging West, which he does throw. Leaves a little bit of to be desired right now, obviously. We'll have to see exactly how they want to go forward with the hand from here. Lastly, Reika, some very nice shapes. It's a bit of Anko with the 5-so. Complete a Ryanman in the Pinzu. It has the potential to be fast. Does have a Penchan and a Kanchan left to be filled, so that can hamper them a little bit. But with a Dora in hand, probably feeling pretty good. And that's a nice upgrade for them as well. So Jay does take the south when it is offered, which again is Yakuhai. So it does move them closer towards a Tenpai with a guaranteed Yaku already. Looking to just move the dealership on since he is dealer next. And there isn't much value left to be picked up in his hand unless you manage to find yourself a Dora, but obviously, you know, you can't always expect that. Especially with these like center tile Doras a bit untrustworthy sometimes. You usually expect them to just be holed up in people's hands, or they also happen to be waiting on them. Alright, so Reika is also closing in on Tenpai. Jade has got there first, waiting on the 2-5 West weight, which I've forgotten the name of because I'm a really bad commentator. Intotsu? Pretty sure it's Intotsu, right? Obviously all the 5-Sos, except for the Arca, are tied up in Reika's hand. The last 2-So is in the pond already. The 2 Wests are in the wall. So, oh no, sorry, 1 West is in the pond. Last West is in the wall. So, bit tricky. He can upgrade here to a Toy weight if they wish to get rid of the Intotsu weight. I'm gonna keep saying Intotsu and hope it's right. Thinking on this for a fair bit, probably just trying to figure out what's more likely. Does choose to throw the 4-So. That is Tenpai for Reika. Waiting on the 2-5-8 pin Sanmenchan. For Richi Pinfu Dora 1. Obviously, Sanmenchan weight is very strong, but we do have other players nearing in on Tenpai as well. Rachel also Tenpai, waiting on the 7-pin, 8-pin. And Hapon not too far away, but does seem to at least be somewhat folding. Jay's wondering where this last West Wind is, or any of the 5-Sos. Rachel changes her weight to a 9-6 pin. Upon it looks to be just completely out of his hand at this stage. Full man is okay. There's another 6-pin. There's the West from Reika, which will deal into Jay for his West South Nan-Nomi. Words. And does manage to start his dealership here with some nice Manzu shapes, some decent Sozo shapes. Can eye off of distant 1-2-3 Sanshoku. Upon very quick hand, nice Pinzu shapes. There's a couple hanging honors to deal with. Hopefully they can find some quick way to reach Tenpai with this starting hand. Reika also with a good starting hand. Just needs a couple nice draws to fill in a couple problematic shapes. Is also looking at a 1-2-3 Sanshoku of their own. And Rachel, across the way, very fast hand as well. Depending on the right draws, can also hit a very early Tenpai. That's one of them. Not quite Tenpai yet, but yeah, very close. Jay choosing not to chase this 1-2-3 Sanshoku. That was again quite far away, but we do love our Sanshokus. Wouldn't have surprised me to see him just keep it in mind. But yeah, is now a little bit far from Ishanten still, but does have very nice weights to work with. That is Tenpai for Rachel. Waiting on the 5-8 pin for Richi only. There's the 7, so that's unfortunate. I don't know really how you could work that in to make it any better, but yeah. It would have been nice, I'm sure, to have before the Richi to at least consider. And Jay's probably thinking, again, on my dealership, you're taking this away from me immediately. He does throw the 7-So Dora, since it was Genbutsu. He can also throw the 6-So. And yeah, plays just sort of working around this early Richi, trying to really figure out the values of the hands, but doesn't matter. Rachel has Sumo'd, no Uradora, so it'll be Richi Sumo. We'll move the dealership on to the south round. So Hapon now, dealer in 4th place with a decent starting hand. Paired the Hatsu, 2 Dora. Can eye off a not too far distant Honnet Sims. Gonna turn the music down a tad. Sorry about that. Reika to our right, Pond of the Chun already. 2 extra dragons in hand. Can accept Dora. Always as an Arca. Shaping up to be a pretty nice hand overall. Across the way, Rachel completed Ryanman in the Manzu. Distant 1-2-3 Shoku as well, but I feel like you kind of want to work with the 4 pins, so probably won't see it. Lastly, Jay. Also fairly fast, but does have there's some awkward shapes to work with. A Penchan in the Sozo, Kanchan in the Pinzu, or 2 different Kanchans in the Pinzu. Does fill one of them, which is nice. Is now Ishan 10. Hapon does pawn one of the Hatsus as it comes out. Bringing him now into Tushanten. It's a little bit far away, but with this 2 Dora in hand, yeah, you just kind of want to go, yeah, you just kind of want to get that Yaku and just cash it in. Like, you just want to go, you know, you've already got someone to your right who's called, and you know, this has already been a very fast table. We've seen some very early reaches already. You just want to cash this in. You deal it, you can repeat, and a free Han hand is a great enough cash in at this point in the game. Reika, after the Chunpon, hasn't managed to really find anything to help them out. This 1-3-5-7 shape in the Pinzu, a bit awkward to work with. He really wants to find a Dora, but he still has a bit to work with, even if he does get it. Can, and does, revealing the new 9-so Dora. So which is given Rachel now 2 extra Dora, J1. Jay still Ishanten, trying to find his way into Tenpai. Did pick up a Dora, so it does have that to work with also. I'm pretty sure he didn't have that when I last looked at his hand. And Reika has picked up some nice draws, completed the Ryanman in the Sozu. And Chi from Hapon has now moved them to Ishanten. Hanging Aka 5, so it's a bit awkward, but you know, what can you do? You're hoping to find a 6 or a 4 to go with it, so that way you can Tenpai, but doesn't find it, does have to discard it. Is now waiting on the 2-5 pin. A bit unfortunate because I mean, obviously he has one of the 5 pins now. But there is the last one still left in the wall. As for the 2 pins, 1 left in the wall, 1 in each player's hand at this stage. So imagine Jay's is pretty safe. Reika's is obviously safe, and Rachel's is pretty safe. So there's a fire that might be calls it, yeah. The 2 pin was safe, but once the 5 pin comes, you're not thinking it's going to be dealing into the free called dealer across the table, I don't think. So he does cash in on the Haku 2 Dora hand, and has moved himself into provisional first place with that, which is exactly what they were looking for. So in the side of this hand, with a 2-man Dora, Reika has some good shapes, completed Ryanmans in both the Sozo and Pinzu. Reika with a pair of the Chun, pair of 5-mans, pair of 9 pins, 5-mans, 5 So's, can take this to a Toy Toy hand, but perhaps if they want. Rachel with a Aka 5-man, and some nice shapes in the Sozo, but and the Manzu, but yeah, it's a little bit left to work with to try and get the Tenpai. And lastly, Jay with 2 pairs, just good shapes to hopefully draw into. Can catch up pretty easily to Reika, who is now 2 calls already. Kenkan again with the Chun, again, revealing a 6-so Dora, which Jay has 2 of, Reika himself having 1. Would be a little bit hard to use that 1. He would need exactly a 1 pin right now to make use of it. But his hand is looking nice. Chun Dora 2 currently. Keeps a hold of the 7 pin, which is a little bit easier to work with, I think. And yeah, just waiting at this stage. Rachel Izzy Shanten waiting on either of her Sozo or Ryaman to complete to go into a Richi, Pinfu, Dora potential 2. Does choose to break one of the Ryanmans. The one that was around the Dora, but Rapon does find their Tenpai first. Waiting on the 1-4 pin for Richi, Dora 1, Pinfu. Richi, Pinfu, Dora 1. 1-4 pin, it's not too bad. The 4 pins are pretty live, 2 left in the wall, and 1 pin left in the wall as well. I guess Reika's lucky that they managed to throw their 1 pin earlier. It does find the 4 pin though already. The Richi Sumu Pinfu Dora, no Ura, so it will remain not Mangan, but basically Mangan for anyone who wasn't a dealer. And has taken us now to Honba 2 in the south round. 6 Mandora. Hapon here with some unfortunate shapes. Might be thinking of some sort of Chanta or Junchan hand, I imagine, with the first 2 7-man discards. Unfortunately, did having one of those already does end up feeling bad, but what can you do? Reika with a pair of the Chun, Aka 5-man, and a Dora. Nice hand. Needs a couple draws or calls to really speed this up, but can be quite expensive if they manage to find it. Rachel across the way. Nice shapes as well. Pair of the south. Just pairs and shapes completed everywhere. It feels good. Can see this hand quickly getting to a Tenpai with some decent value. Lastly, Jay has a Aka 5-man and a pair of the Haku. And a completed shape in the Manzu. Could quickly also catch up. Very fast hands pretty much around the table, except for the dealer Hapon, who is, you know, when you have these sort of Chanters, Junshan hands, as we've talked about before, the real issue is trying to find your Tenpai. You're usually reliant on very specific draws or calls to find that. And yeah, those are your roadblocks. No Khan on the Chun this time for Reika, but he does call and grab their Yaku nice and early. Is now Ishanten. And now Tenpai waiting on the 3 pin. 3 of them are left in the wall. Rachel, just having thrown hers, probably will be thanking herself later if they manage to win this hand. Upon finding one of the draws they need, still having to hold on to this South and Haku though for now, which can feel kind of spicy the later the hand goes on if you don't happen to find any of the pairs. There is one of each left in the wall still, so some, you know, not terrible odds, but you know, you are stuck with having to find them, which is the hard part. And Jay also still searching for his Tenpai. Rachel finding herself a Dora might upgrade that Manzu shape into a Sun Menchan, and does. Everyone just kind of trying to upgrade their hands at this stage. Apart from Reika, who is, you know, obviously just all gas with this Chundora 2 hand. Just looking to move the dealership on and take their own dealership. Jay opens with a 6-pin Chi, moving him now to Ishanten. With a potential, no, definitely it's going to be Haku Dora 3. He will, again, he's looking for this last Haku in the wall, and it's just being drawn by Hapon, so it's probably not going to be coming out anymore. Hapon did manage to throw his Southwind, J does hit Tenpai, waiting on the 6-man Haku, which is Adazuke on the Haku. But does not matter as a free pin comes out from Rachel, dealing into the Chun Dora 2 hand from Reika, which ends the hand. Moving on to Reika's South 2 dealership, paired to South in hands and some Hanging Dragons. Obviously, quick potential for another quick win here for him, depending on the draws, if he manages to find the right ones. Rachel across the way, starting with 5 pairs is Chitoi Ishanten already. J to our left, completed Ryanman in the Sozo. Nice shapes in the Manzu to work with. Would be nice if it wasn't for Rachel's Chitoi hand. And lastly, her pawn. Some nice shapes as well. Some hanging wind tiles will need to come out if they want to catch up to Rachel, who has just reached on the 5-man, waiting for the Richi Suji 8-man for Chitoi only. With the Richi, Reika has opened up with a 5-so Chi. With the Anko of the Southwinds, which they picked up early on into the hand, is looking to try and retain this dealership. Is Ishan 10, waiting on a couple Manzu tiles. And the players having to work around this early Richi is a bit tricky, obviously. The saving grace for them might be it's a bit of an awkward Richi for Rachel. But doesn't matter, as she finds the 8-man for Richi Sumo Chitoitsu no Ura. So will remain 25 fu for Han. But ends Reika's dealership, who now is in a very precarious second position with no dealerships left. Nextly, Rachel with the dealership in South Free. Couple pairs again, but not as many as last time. So might see a bit more of a normal hand for her. J to our left. Good shapes in the Pinzu. 2 Dora. Couple hanging Yakuhai tiles I can work with. Her pawn in front of us. Paired to Chun. Completed Ryanman in the Pinzu. Some nice shapes in the Sozo. Leaves this hand looking quite good to go forward. J picking up another Dora. And lastly, Reika on our right, needing some points to sort of really hold this second. This hand doesn't leave too much help to that. Nice shapes in the Pinzu currently, but nothing else in the hand is really working. Will be at a bit of a disadvantage in this hand, I think. J, looking very strong, can bring this hand to Honitsu if he so wants. But with the free Dora in hand, I think you're just going to take the earliest Tenpai you can find. With the Chunpon from her pawn, has now moved himself into Tenpai already, waiting on the 4-7-man. All the 7-mans are still alive, but 2 of the 4-mans are in Rachel's hand. So there's a pretty good chance her pawn can win this hand for a Chundor 2, which would be very nice. There's one of the 7-mans. This might just come out from J. Yeah. It's not much he can really do. His hand had a direction, and that 7-man was not sticking into it. So it does deal into her pawn's hand here, who now is in a very strong first. But J, in South 4 with the last dealership, is in last place and will be looking to rent us as much as he can. This hand though, very, very bad hand. We'll need help getting there, that's for sure. In front of us, pawn. The shapes are not too bad, but we'll need some lucky draws or calls to really speed it up. To our right, Reika, pair of the South Winds. But other than that, and also not too much going on currently. Lastly, Rachel across the table. Shapes aren't too bad comparatively to the other players on the table. But nothing exceptional either currently. So no one here is specifically fast, at least on the quickest overview. I guess Reika would be the best with the pair of salves really giving them flexibility to how they want to proceed with the hand. Might be considering Junchan with that call, hoping to just find the extra salve. Hey Unwise Al, we're in South 4 already. It was a pretty slow game up until South round, and then Hapon's really managed to pull themselves out to a nice lead here. Yeah, it was pretty quick, all things considered. I mean, I guess not really, is it? It's already coming up on 8:45. But yeah, South 4, Jay needing to try and cash in this hand. Will probably find it hard to do so. Reika managing to pull the 7 man, but is Yakuless unless they can get the Southwind. And we're pretty much just waiting to see who can manage to find their way to Tenpai here. Hapon looks to be eyeing off an Itsu here, which obviously will make use of the Dora, but isn't all that close to it on their own. Rika did manage to find a third South tile, which has saved that hand for them. So now Ishanten. Jay also finding the 9 before. I just realized that diamond didn't really do anything for him. But yeah, well, that's a nice draw for him though. That is Tenpai waiting on the 3 pins. 2 of which are in Reika's hand and will not be leaving, I imagine, and the other 2 are in the wall. So chance here for Jay to retain the dealership. He's looking at just a he's yuckless, I just realized. He's not looking at much right now. Trying to think if there's any way he can even get to how to get a Yaku, but it's gonna be tough. It's maybe just hoping to take Rukoku, I imagine, but now Rachel has caught up. Is managed to turn his head into a Chitoitsu waiting on the 7 pin, which looks bad because you can see 2 of them. So it is a Hellweight Chitoitsu. The last 7 pin though is in the wall. So Rachel might be thinking, oh, there's the full might be thinking that if the 7 pin is drawn by another player, it might come out. Yeah, you hate to see that, as when you have your choice on your Chitoitsu weight, you picked the wrong one. Would have been Ipatsumo. Richipatsumo Chitoitsu Dora one is a Mangan. Would have secured 2nd and ended the game, but might just end up going down to Ryokoku. Jay in strife here. Does fold. Didn't have much of a choice really, but my pawn has now shifted the Haite towel to Rachel, who does not pull it. It is Rikoku. And does end the game with her pawn in first, Rachel in 2nd, Rika in 3rd, and Jay in 4th. So that was a really good game overall. It was tight until the start of South round, when her pawn did manage to take, I think it was 2 wins while in dealership. and just sort of put themselves up into that first spot and not relinquish it for the rest of the match. So we're just waiting on the admin side of things here. And looks like the stats have already been updated. Yes, they have. So we can see the standings here. With that win, Hapon with AUNSW Wanderers has extended the lead out. If I bring up the right scene, there we go. And Raycar taking an unfortunate third there. I think, right? Yeah, Raycar taking the third isn't what Tanya Sensation is looking for, unfortunately. Not out of it by any stretch of the means. 3 games left to go, and on these tables, you know, the point swings are absolutely wild. So we'll have to see exactly how things shake up. If I don't forget, Hapon is ESP. Double checking. Pretty sure I got that right. Yep. Just checking. And I know he refused the interview last week, so I just want to double check. If he does not, we will just take a break before the start of the next match. And just sort of go over what the teams will be looking for in the second Hanchan. Yeah. Alrighty, so yeah, he does ESP doesn't want an interview. Yeah, nice for Rachel, who did manage to just sneak in through and grab that second place out from Rika. Really unfortunate because yeah, Tanya Sensation really needed like a good showing in the first Hanchan would have made the finals a lot more smoother. Now the team has a bit more work to do if they want to have a shot at the title. Not out of reach because yeah, on these final tables, being able to target specific teams, you know, for several consecutive Hanchans in a row is super strong. You can easily flip what's happening with these kinds of tables, but with the first set of games, with the first game done, so ANSW extending their lead out. Now they're about 200 points ahead of second place. It's Anko. Rendezvous Run, basically neck and neck for second and third, with Tanya Sensation bringing up fourth. We'll have to go into game 2 to see what will happen there. In game 2, we're going to have Hapon once again for ANSW. Nano for Rendezvous Run, Abraham for Itsu Anko, and Tanya 1K for Tanya Sensation. So I imagine we'll be starting on the hour. So we're going to take a quick 10 to 15 minute break. I'll put up like 12 minutes or something. We'll be back with you after that. Don't go anywhere. Game 2 will be beginning in 15 minutes. All right, we are back. Thank you everyone for your patience. We've been looking to start up the next game pretty shortly. Just to quickly go over the standings once again. From this game, we're really looking for Tanya Sensation to bring it up pretty strong first to keep themselves in contention for the title here. AUNSW are looking to hold on with a gap of 200 points. That's more than enough usually to take a title from this position, so they'll be looking to not lose, not take a fourth, obviously. So yeah, Tanya Sensation on AUNSW really, obviously, rivals in this match. Like pretty much the first one as well, but even more so for this one. They're both looking to basically knock the other team down. Well, Tanya Sensation looking to knock them down. AUNSW doesn't really care. They just don't care that they're not fourth. Itsu Anka and Rendezvous Run essentially tied for points. Both of these teams will be looking for a first to really separate themselves from the other, or for that team to basically take a pretty nasty fourth, just to give that little bit extra breathing room heading into the last two games. So for this table today, in game 2, we have Hapon once again for ANSW, Tanya 1K for Tanya Sensation, not Rachel for Itsu Anko, I've done this wrong, so give me a sec. It is, who was it? Nano for Rendezvous Run. I've done this all back to front, sorry. Abraham here, and Nano here. Apologies for that. I did this while I was apparently incredibly scatterbrained. Should be fixed. There we go. So yeah, Abraham for Itsu Anka and Nano for Rendezvous Run. So again, all these players have had good games to get to this point. If they hadn't, they wouldn't be in the finals, obviously. So all very strong players. Just the only thing I can really say is Tanya 1K did have the worst season out of Tanya Sensation, but again, their team's gotten here. None of these players are bad. So we're looking to see a big showing from Tanya 1K here. They really, really need to try and take a strong first to keep themselves into contention for first. And if you don't get first, that's perfectly fine because there's still 2 other positions to try and take. So looking for the best. I don't have this in 4K. I'm just going to quickly reload it because I am silly. But yeah, as you saw, we are sitting in with Nano in the East seat. So she's looking for a strong start here. Here we go with the right thing. I didn't think this was in the wrong spot. I was like, it shouldn't be any smaller. There we go. All right. Close that. And we're good. We're good. All right. So Nano first with this hand, pretty strong. Nice Sozo shapes. And everything else is looking really good. Hapon to the right starts with a Chun of an Anko of the Chun and a Dora in hand. Very strong hand if they can draw something to connect to the Dora. Tanya 1K across the way has opened with a 8-so Pon, looking probably to cash in on that Tanya 1K hand. They do have a Dora though, so it should be a little bit more if they can connect it up. But it will be a bit tricky. Probably looking for make that a pair if they can. Lastly, to our left, we have Abraham. It's an Anko of the Hatsu. Some other hanging wind tiles, an Aka 5 pin, and a 8-man Dora of their own. So all the players here are looking to have pretty decent hands. Nano's hand, even though it does have some nice shapes to work with, does need a little bit of work to really find a tempi here. Got a couple extra pairs, and that'll really slow the hand down. Hapon looks to be at least considering going towards a Honitsu if they can't find a way to work in the Dora. So we'll have to keep in touch with that. Abraham here, yeah, there's this hand, even though you've got the Anko of the Hatsu, there's not a lot really working for it. You really want to try and find a 7-man to go with that Dora, and you want to connect up the Aka 5 pin if you can, but I don't really see a way to do all this while keeping up with the rest of the players, unfortunately. So have to see how they wish to go about it. Tanya 1K has managed to make themselves the Uncle of the Freeman, so it should hopefully make it doable to use this Dora. They are currently headless though, so we'll have to see what they want to do. This hand is quite flexible now, but they can pick up many tiles to really get this Senpai. And yeah, Nano looking for something to work into this hand. Her pawn does find the 4th Chun and does Khan it, revealing the new Friso Dora, which is really good for Nano. This has really upped the value of this hand. Now, before we just look at maybe like a basically just a Tanyao hand, but now with the door with the Khan, they can get quite a bit of value out of this hand. This 5-so is an interesting draw as well. They can choose to lock in the Itsu shape, or they can work with having the Anko 4-sos and try and see if they can maybe get to a Toy or something similar to that. With that Chido, Hapon has moved themselves into Tenpai, waiting on the 7-pin. 2 of those are left in the wall. One of them is in Tanya 1K's hand, now the second one is, it will come out naturally and deal into the Chun Honitsu 2, which is Mangan. With that, Khan giving the extra food does put that hand into Mangan range. Unfortunately for Tanya 1K, not the start they were looking for. But Hanchan is far from over. Hapon now with the dealership, with a Arc of 5-pin in hand and nice shapes overall. The Manzu is looking good, the Pinzu is looking good, the Sozo is looking good. Looking to have quite a strong hand here for their first dealership. Tanya 1K across the way. Some completed shapes in the Sozo, well, you know, one completed, one half completed. Good Pinzu shape. The Manzu left to work with, but can easily get this hand to Tenpai pretty quickly. To our left, Abraham. A couple hanging wind tiles, and yeah, not too much else going on right now. We'll have to figure out how they want to proceed with the hand, with the draws that come soon. Lastly, Nano in under the front of us here. Very quick hand if they manage to fill in either the Sozo or the Pinzu, based on what comes first, more or less. Can take this hand away from her pawn with the right draws. So the Dora with the West Wind is usually pretty nice to hold on to, which you can use as a pair for a Pinfu hand or, you know, anything like that, right? Because you can just sort of, it's very flexible. At the same time, if you want to discard it, you usually can without worrying, unless the West player or the North player happens to hold a pair of them. Usually you can just chuck them if you're just going for speed, which it looks like a pawn is. Yeah, you can be nice and loose with them. That's what I really like about these non-Yakuhai Doras. You can just sort of do so much of them. So Tanya 1K is moving towards is Tenpai technically right now, but with no Yaku. Has not declared Ricci. Probably hoping to pick up a 4-man, I suppose, or find another pair. So there's the 2-man which comes out, which cannot be won with. Tanya does Sumo Giri Ricci on the non-draw. So the 2-pin now, not 2-pin, 2-man, 3 of those are left in the wall. But the players will take notice of the 2-man, the South Sumo Giri Ricci. We'll have to see how they wish to react going forward based on that. Yeah, I'm not sure if I had agreed with waiting. Like, even if you find a 4-man to go with, you know, this hand, like, yeah, the weight's better, but the value's not much better. You might as well just Ricci and just go. Yeah, precisely because of what happened. You know, Hapon might not have thrown the 2-man once it comes out. He, you know, might have probably just thrown anything else, but yeah, probably just the 5-man, you know. But yeah, now you've sort of left yourself with this. You know, you could have won the hand, but you haven't. But regardless, moving forward, Hapon pretty safely folding their way out of the hand. They've got plenty of tiles to work with at this stage. 2 mans are being drawn by everybody else. One goes into Abraham's hand, one goes into Nano's hand. Nano's hand does have value, so it's possible that if they do find Tenpai, this 2-man might come out. It is Suji to the dealer, but it is Suji to the tile discarded before the Sumigiri Richi. Abraham's 2-man is now locked away with that chi, so they are safe from danger for now. And they're moving in on a Tenpai of their own. That is Tenpai for Nano. The 2-man does come out and will deal into the Richi. No Ura, so it will remain Richi only. But for Tanya 1K, you're able to recoup some of those losses which you took in East 1, which, you know, helps makes it feel a little less bitter. And now you have a dealership. Starting with their hand, shapes are a little awkward, but they do have potential Chanta lines that they can consider. We'll make use of the Dora and things like that. Abraham to our left. Nice Manzu tiles. The complete shape in the Sozo is pretty nice. Just picked up a Dora, which is connecting to nothing, but you know, we'll hold it for now. Nano in front of us. Some nice shapes as well. Just hanging on the tiles aren't really doing much, but you can, you know, discard those as you find tiles to work with. And Hapon in the right, very nice shapes, very fast hand. Pretty much clear line to Tenpai for him. And Tanya 1K now, yeah, is, I think, considering this Junchan hand with the 1-man Chi. You've sort of left yourself with no other choice. You can go for a Sanshoku, I suppose, or you can find all the Chuns, but yeah, this is your path to Tenpai. But upon closing in, so for Tanya 1K, they're looking to find another Dora, which is going to be a bit tricky because 2 of those are in Abraham's hand, who is now Richi'd, waiting on the free pin for Richi Dora 2. 3 pins are 2 left in the wall, 1 in Nana's hand, 1 in Hapon's hand. Both of those are pretty safe, so unless we see some other reason why they might come out, for now we shouldn't expect to see them flow out from these players. If Tanya 1K does draw a free pin, it'll come out almost definitely. So, and you know, unless they manage to fold this hand to safety, he does find the extra Dora. This is a good boon for them. They did throw the 9-so though, so getting to Tenpai now is a bit harder. Didn't want to throw the 6-so into the dealer. There's the free pin. That is very unfortunate. It does hold on to it for now, but well, it's possible since they're throwing the 9-so, they can maybe find a way to fold the hand out. We'll have to see. Looks to be that's might be what happening, so that might be saving Tanya 1K with the early safe decision. Might have convinced them to fold the hand out. It's really hard when you're looking at, you know, 2 Dora in your hand to fold it out, but they are struggling for safe tiles, is the other thing. Meanwhile, I was just looking at Hapon. He does manage to find a Tenpai waiting on the 6-9 pin. Obviously, all the 9 pins are accounted for, but there are still 2 6 pins left in the wall. And with Tanya 1K's hand, he's going to be struggling to find some safe tiles. I probably would like to see the 1-sos come out next. But it is a completely live Suji, which is, okay, it's just been cleared by Nano. So that'll help them out. So now the 6 comes out, but Hapon does find the 6 pin in the wall. Richi Sumo Pinfu, Tanya, no Ura, so will remain not quite Mangan, but has moved him up into under 40k points. Looking to be another strong game here for Hapon. At least early. East 4. Abraham now with the dealership is in second place currently, but we'll be obviously looking to try and take a first here, as every player is. So with their hand, not much going on currently right now. There's a very distant sort of Sanshoku, I suppose, but can't really see it happening. Nano in front of us, another fairly average hand. Excuse me. Could go towards Tanyao with the Arca in hand. Hapon to the right. Very nice shapes once again for them. Completed Ryanman in the Sozo. Some nice Pinfu shapes to work with. Even could be eyeing off an now 1, 2, 3 Sanshoku. If they manage to find the tiles they need. Lastly, Tanya 1k across from us. 1, 2, 3, 4 pairs already. So we'll have to again see how they want to play the hand. If they want to go something normal or chase down a Chitoitsu. As for the Dora, which is the 8-so, none of the players have it currently. But Nano and Hapon can very easily use it in their hands. Nano does find one. If they want to use the Doras, they can hold on to these shapes and work with them while discarding other things from their hands to try and make use of that Dora. Especially Nano, who I do feel like is eyeing off Tanyao. Just having that Dora in there can help a lot with the value if you do need to open. But overall, the hands themselves are all progressing normally. So Tanya 1k, pretty much in the same position as last time we saw him, still with the 4 pairs. Does discard the Haku, which Abraham does pawn. I was looking at their hand as well, which was Ishanten, and can now be Tenpai, choosing whether they want to wait on the Shabo or the Ryanman. Does go with the Ryanman, so the 5-8 pin wait. 8 pins are accounted for in Nano and Hapon's hand. 2 of the 5 pins are still live, including the Aka 5 pin. And now Nano could be in a little bit of danger if the draws go a certain way and they're forced to break the 8-pin Anko to take up a Pinfu shape. I was just looking, so yeah, there are 3 7-mans on the wall. Hanano in choosing to discard the Dora here instead, to go for a more wider Ishanten, I believe. And her pawn has given up on the 1, 2, 3 Sanshoku, preferring the 1-man at this stage. Was a little bit far, and you're still waiting for a pair as well. It's a bit awkward. Just choosing to go for speed instead, which is, you know, more understandable play. But this table has slowed down in this hand, as the players are all sort of, their hands are pretty much set, apart from maybe Nano's. There's the fuck a 5 pin. She could choose to swap and throw the normal one here. She does just throw the Aka one, which doesn't deal in. That's very unfortunate. Deals into Abraham's hand, which becomes Tanya Dora. So he does manage to cash in on the dealership and takes us to Humber 1. In this hand, they start with a Dora in hand. A lot of green tiles. A bit far from Ryuso, so I don't think we need to worry about too much about that. Nano in the south seat with the Anko of the North Winds. Nice Pinzu shape, the Sun Menchan there. This hand can be very quick if they find the right tiles to go with. Hapon to our right. A lot of pairs, but they do have a pair of the Ton. So we could see just a pawn from him to go Ton Dora 1 or Dora 2 if you manage to find a 5-man. Lastly, Tanya 1k across the table. Pretty average hand. Depending on the draws, they can obviously increase the value of this hand, but for now, looking pretty cheap. Just with the 5 mana draw, could be at least some sort of reachy, pin through Dora 1 sort of hand. But yeah, really liking where Nano's hand is going at this stage. You're looking to try and pick up some Yakuhai tiles so you can increase the value of this Honitsu if you choose to go for it, which it doesn't look like she is. Yeah, the Chuns themselves, one in Tanya 1K's handy, so it could easily come out. The last one's still on the wall. Haku is pretty much dead. And the Ton is obviously pretty much dead as well. Could wind up in a mochi-mochi situation for either of those. So we'll have to see. There's the Chun from Tanya 1K, so those are definitely gone mochi-mochi. At least for now. And the 3-pin Chi from Nano will pretty much announce what this hand is, I believe, to the other players. She does throw the Ton, which is not called by her pawn. Her pawn... not too sure. Maybe he was considering not calling this to keep the value of the hand a bit higher. I imagine if the second Ton does get thrown by Abraham, we will see a call there. But her pawn's a much better player than I am, so I could be completely wrong with that assessment. Nano was Tenpai, is still Tenpai here on the 7-pin. It was looking like it could come out here from Abraham, but he managed to draw a 6-pin to save themselves. Nano changes her weight up to the 8-pin Chun Sharbo weight. Instead, one 8-pin left in the wall. The other 2 Chuns, the 8-pin does come out from a pawn after the call here. Dealing into the Honitsu. Dora 1? No, just Honitsu. No, Honitsu Dora 1. It was Honitsu Dora 1. Was it? Might not have been. Excuse me. Either way, moving into South round. We have a Chun Dora. Nano with a pair of the East Winds and a pair of the South Winds. Has quite a bit to work with here. Her pawn to our right. Pretty average hand, but the Sozu shape's nice. And that 3-pin's very good as well. It's turned this hand into a pretty quick hand, actually. Across the way, Tanya 1K. Nice pin, nice Manzu shape. But the other 2 suits are a little bit awkward right now. And lastly, Abraham to our left. I was looking at this hand because he started with one of each wind, and it was just on the 2. Thank you. Sorry, I wasn't sure for some reason. He did start with one of each wind and Favored the Dragon tiles and a couple were terminals, but did decide to play the hand normally, or at least going towards Honitsu from the looks of things. But Tanya 1K, living up to their name, is now Tenpai for a Tanya 2K hand with the Akadora in hand. The Friso, praise be, one in each player's hand, but one left in the wall. So we'll have to see exactly how this hand shows up. Abraham moving this hand towards, from their perspective, what could be a Chanta Honitsu, you know, with a Pei or a Chun. Could be very strong. It's going to be a little bit awkward to get there, though. You're probably expecting Tanya 1K to be Tenpai, or at least, you know, Ishanten. And now you've got all these, you know, you've got this East Wind, this South Wind, this West Wind. These are all looking a little bit awkward. The West Wind does this pass down, and the Haku. That does probably help them out a little bit, if they're worried about dealing in at some point. Nano also cheeing a 5, so will be probably looking to hit Tenpai, waiting on either the east or the south, or, you know, or call either. It's like she has so many options here to work with that result in, you know, not Yakuhai, not Yakuless or Akazuke or anything like that. So He comes in east. This will get called, I imagine. Waiting on what I assume will be the 2-pin south, which it is. So 1 south in Abraham's hand. And both 2 pins still in the wall at this stage? Yes. So let's say that's a draw, isn't it? I'm trying to think if there's any way. If you'd thrown the 2... Yeah, if you'd thrown the 2 pin, you would have sumoed, right? Ah, well. What can you do? There's the south. It does come out from Tanya 1k, who is also Tenpai. Couldn't find a free-so in time. Dealer catches up, dealing into east-south. Oh, 1-2. Propelling Nano into second place, putting Tanya 1k down to 10k, which is very unfortunate. But going through the hands real quick. Nano in the dealer seat. The Manzus are nice. The Pinzu's not bad. A little bit to work with, but can get this hand to Tenpai pretty simply with the right draws. Hop on to our right, an Anko of the Haku tiles. Completed Sozo shapes. Could see this hand go towards Sozo or Chanta or Honitsu, or even just Yakuhai only, just to move the dealership on from Nano, who, you know, has this Rentide. Across the way, Tanya 1k, needing a strong south round here now. This is a nice hand to start with. The value isn't great, but you know, you're looking to just try and get to a Ricci Sumo, Pinfudora 2 or something like that. You know, even that's enough to really put you back into the Hanchan. Lastly, Abraham here on the left. Pretty fast hand as well. Sozo shapes are looking good. Manzu's looking good. Pinzu's looking good. Yeah. I like everyone's hands in this table. Maybe Hapon's hand at least. I hate working around Chantarish hands. Looks to be that he's not considering that though. He's just going for quickest line towards Tenpai, which he is Ishanten for. It would be a pretty surprising Richihatsu sort of hand. Is this... It's not quite Tenpai, is it? No, it's Ishanten though. It's very nice Ishanten. I'm not too sure what the right discard was there. I was sort of going through it in my head. My gut was 5-pin, but I also like throwing the 4-man. Regardless, our dealer, who is also looking to Rentai, obviously, as much as you can to try and rein in Hapon. I was just looking at the hand. I was wondering if Chitoi was on the mind, but yeah, definitely not with the shapes that you've got, I think. There's a Dora though. Bit awkward. You're throwing the 3-pin early. You have to throw the Dora here. And to your happiness, it passes without any problem. And now Nano Ishanten. And Tenpai. So for our dealer Ricci here, one man left in the war and 2 4-mans. And Hapon Chiing, the Ricci tile, is also now waiting on the 8-man and did manage to get this hand to Chanta. Unfortunately for Hapon, the 8-mans are completely dead, so they will not be converting on this weight at least. If they want a chance of winning, they will need to draw a 9-man or a 1-man and wait, change the weight. It can be a little bit hard to see. Hapon does throw in the 1-man once it is drawn here, after waiting on it, but deciding the push is worth it. does not pay off, unfortunately, dealing in to Nano's Dealerici and moving us into Hompa 2. Now, with that win against Hapon, who was in first place, Nano has taken the provisional lead. And in this hand is looking to extend it further. Some nice Manzu shapes and nothing else is terrible. With the right draws, you can make this hand work pretty simply. To our right, Hapon having this dealt in, waking up with a cracker of a hand, 2 Akadora. Easy to use into the hand. You can easily see this hand going towards some sort of Tanyao 2 Dora pretty quickly. Across the table, Tanyao 1K, who was unable to cash in on that nice nooking hand, has a pair of the Chun here, but not much else. You make use of a Dora if you hold onto that 2-man. So I'd like to probably see that. He does draw one, so that's really good for them. To our left, Abraham with a pair of the Haku and now an uncle of the Haku. Dora in hand, not Dora in hand, that's the other end of the Dora, that's the Dora indicator, silly veggie. Can be eyeing up a 567 Sanshoku to go with this hand as well. And from that position, you're in third place on 25k points, so you have a dealer left, so you don't need to go for anything too difficult right now, but you're really worried about Nano either going on a tear or Hapon, who, you know, is obviously a very strong player, doing the same. That ape so does make the Sanshoku pretty unlikely at this stage. Yeah, it is pretty much gone. In the meantime, Hapon did manage to draw himself another Hatsu tile, so I guess the Tanyao's off the table, but we can easily go for Hatsu Dora 2 without any worries. This will come out from Abraham now. Hapon deciding to pass on it. They could be considering Kitoitsu here as well. Either or is not too bad for this hand. He does have 5 pairs. I feel like I would have just gone if it was me. That's why I'm sitting here, not on the finals table. Meanwhile, Nano has gotten the Tenpai, waiting on the Freeman 8 so. Which is pretty live. The 8 so is one left, but the Freemans are both left. But both Hapon and Tanya 1K can both make use of a Freeman very simply in their hands. So unless he draws it, probably will not be seeing it come. But if he does draw it, it will be Nano. If Nano does draw it, it will be Tanya 1K. Well, not for Nano as dealer, but normally, yes. And Tanya 1K, speaking of choosing to open, is now waiting on the Freeman also. So if either Hapon or Abraham draw, we will see head bump happen. And a Khan from Tanya 1K has revealed a 3-pin Dora tile, which is still kind of live, but no player can really make use of it. And there's Tenpai for Hapon, who does Dharma 10 on the 1-man, which has just come out from Abraham. So there is one man left in the wall. Hapon Dharma 10 for a Chitoi Dora free. And if any player deals into this, it will be devastating. That's Tenpai also for Abraham now. They choose to take it. Does also Dharma 10 waiting on the East 5-man. East, if it is drawn, I imagine will come out. The 5-man, which is also one left. Maybe not as much. We'll have to see. But Tanya 1K does find the Freeman. And with that 3-pin pawn, which I completely missed, does manage to cash in on a big hand, putting himself right back into the match. And now we have a game on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. Her pawn in the east seat in south too, waking up with another cracker of a hand. This has potential for Ipeco. Yes, 1 Dora for now. Yeah, this is a great hand. Tanya 1K across the table with a quick south pawn. Not much value outside of that, but at this stage, they don't know it, but this hand could be very quickly decided by her pawn if they manage to get to a tempai. So that south pawn is actually really, really nice in this situation. To our left, Abraham might have Itsu lines in the Manzu eyed up right now. Other than that, they do have a Dora of their own, which they do discard after her pawn had Fernez earlier in the hand. And lastly, Nano, right on time, managing to find the second Chun, will now have to result to it being a pair, but with a North Anko in the hand, which is Yakuhai. This hand isn't looking too bad. You can open, you can easily use this as your pair. Not too bad at all. So, her pawn still looking for this tempai. Has potential to hit a Rearm Peiko here as well. If they do manage to find, the exact 2 tiles they need. So we're looking for a 7-man or a 7. So, one of the 7-mans is in Tanya 1K's hand. Her pawn, however, has grown tired of waiting upon drawing another 9, so choosing to go with a more natural 4-7. So 4-7-man Ricci wait here, which is Ricci only, but with Ipeco on the 7-man, obviously. And Tanya 1K Ishanten as well, but value is lacking, but does take it once they draw the 7-pin. Now we've got a 7-pin weight, Shabo weight for Tanya 1K. 7 pins are, it's actually Furoton, I dismissed that. But 1 7-pin left and 2 Forsos. Choosing to keep the 8-so upon drawing to try and get out the Furoton. And the players that will... He manages to hold on to that 4-man for now. Very nice. I thought for sure that was coming straight out, but yeah, well avoided. At least for now. And the players just going through the motions here. That is now Tempai again for Tanya 1K. Who does take it. Now waiting on the 3-man, of which there is 2 left in the wall. Managing to throw the 8-man after it is Suji to the dealer Ricci. Nano still looking for her Tempai with these 2 Dora and the Anko of Yakuhai in the hand. Tanya 1K changing their weight to waiting on the 5-man, which is Genbutsu to dealer. As for 5-mans, 1 left in the wall. No, sorry, 0 left in the wall. My mistake. So that will not be working for Tanya 1K. Is a 4-man draw from Nana, which does go into the hand. She could be in a little bit of danger if she's unable to avoid throwing this 7-man. But with the West draw on the Haite, we'll be safe, resulting in Ryukyoku for Dealer and Tanya 1K. Moving us to Homba 1 in South 2. Hapon waking up with a pair of the South Winds and a Dora in hand. Some nice shapes in the Manzu tiles. Pair, this hand is looking very nice. Could quickly take this one to a win. Tanya 1k across the table. Couple pairs. Shapes are fine. Dora acceptance is there. Can work with that, not a problem. To our left, Abraham. Couple pairs of their own, but again, the shapes are normal. You've got a completed rearmament in the Pinzu. This hand can easily turn into something normal. That's not Chitotsu if you want to go with that. Nano in the front of us with a regular sort of looking hand. Dora of her own. Couple pairs now with this 9-man draw and a couple hanging on the tiles. We'll have to probably see some of those come out. The Haku's already one cut. The South will probably have to come out unless you draw the second one. But overall, not too bad. Hapon now, with that 6-man draw, has got themselves a nice looking Sun Manchan in Manzu. Probably looking to throw the 2-pin to confirm the 3-pin as the pair and connect something to the Dora. But the Dora just might come out if you hit Tenpai or if you call the South Wind, I imagine. Not for now, but yeah, it is looking like probably the next most likely cut. Good draw for Nano here. Now can safely cut the South Wind without worrying about speeding up anybody's hand. Tanya 1k, the hand's not too bad, but you are Shanten. But you really want that Dora draw. Unfortunately, there's only one of those left. Abraham with 2 in hand, including the Arc of 5-man, 5 so. Looking dangerous here to end the dealership of Hapon with a Tanya Dora free. And is now Tenpai waiting on the Forso, which is only one left. But if a no, it's safe in everybody's hand actually. It's not going to come out from Tanya 1k's hand anytime soon. And Hapon just drew his to fill their own Hanchan, waiting on the 369-man. And now Abraham, I imagine, trying to decide what weight to go with, choosing to stick with the Forso weight for now. But Hapon looking sharp here to try. This is going to have a 3-man come out from Tanya 1k, yep. Unfortunate, but not much you can do there. Does just deal into a Nandora 1, it's not too bad. But it does deal into Hapon, which is the least ideal scenario for Tanya 1k. So Hapon now going into Homba 2. Shapes again looking pretty nice for them. Pretty average hand, but it can easily take this to a Tenpai. Tanya 1k. Across the table, same sort of deal. Nice shapes. To our left, Abraham, pair of the Chun, pair of the Haku. Picked both of those up very recently, I believe. I did have a heavy terminal hand, but yeah, no Kokushi pushes yet from players. And lastly, Nano in front of us. Two completed rearmaments. Again, a fairly normal looking hand. None of these players have a lot of value right now. All the Doras are still in the wall. And Abraham are obviously going to open up with the Chun and the Haku, I assume. Could be eyeing off a Honitsu. But was also probably keen just to end the dealership of Hapon. To try and keep the game as close as we can for the other players to rein in this absolute monster. Hapon, speaking of, is quite close to Tenpai. What? E2 Shanten, I believe. Again, my Shanten counting is absolute garbage. Don't skip in your studies, people. And with that 6-man cut, I do think Abraham is probably eyeing off the Honitsu. But now with 2 Dragon Calls on the table and no sign of the Hatsu, you do have to be considering the chances of Soshangan or Daisangan. Especially as Nano, who is sitting here with 1 Hatsu tile of their own. So we'll have to see how brave she is if she hits this tenpai, which is coming up very shortly. Of course, every other Hatsu is still in the wall, and you have to wonder how far Abraham is willing to go if they draw one. Nano, for now, refusing to fold the Hatsu out, as you'd expect when you're staring down a potential Daisangan. In the meanwhile, Tanya 1K has picked up now 2 Dora and is closing in on Tenpai. Abraham, having picked up a 6-so to go with that 4-so, now can incorporate Dora of their own if they want to go with a quicker hand, which might end up happening. And in the meanwhile, Hepon did hit Tenpai on with an 8-pin 2-so, of which 1 8-pin and... no, sorry, 0 8-pins, no 2-sos. 2 2-sos left. Does cut the 2-so, however, putting themselves back out of Tenpai. And a Khan from Abraham reveals the East Wind as new Dora, of which, I mean, we've seen one get discarded. Where are all the honor tiles? There's one of them. But Tanya 1K's already thrown an East Wind. And the 6-pin has come back out from him, from Abraham, as Hapon found another Tenpai, which I missed while I was talking about other things, and he does extend this dealership now to South 2, Honba 3. 9-man Dora. Hapon with an average starting hand, a lot of loose honor tiles to work through before we can consider this hand to be much of anything at this stage. Across the table, Tanya 1K. Shapes are not too bad. You can maybe consider going to a Junchan looking hand if you want to push it that far. Otherwise, a very regular looking Richi Pinfu is on the table. Abraham to our left has an Anko of the South Winds, an Arc of 5, so very nice Manzu shapes. Is now Ishan 10. And lastly, Nano in front of us in the stream. Good shapes as well is also Ishan 10. But the value isn't quite what you'd want. It could be Richidora 1. Not too likely to get much higher than that unless you can find a Pinfu. There's the Tenpai. Will she take it? She does, throwing Vidora, confirming the Tanyao instead. Richie Tanyao waiting on the 4-7 so, and now Tanyao 1K with a hanging 4 so. Isn't the most immediate threat, but obviously has other ways to avoid the Richie for now. So for Nano's team, if she can keep second place here, it's very good against Itsu Anko, who is currently in 4th, but you're letting AUNSW really run away with the table. With 2 games left to go, they already had a 200-point victory. You're really looking to try and take some points off them here to keep yourselves within that reach for first place. Abraham pausing here on a 7-pin draw. Does go with the 6-pin in hand, but you've already thrown an 8-pin. It feels a bit awkward. For Tanya 1K, this 2-pin is not bad. It completes another Ryanman in the Pinzu, but you're trying to decide what you want to discard into this Rigi. It's getting a bit dicier. And Nano's Pond isn't helping too much right now. If Tanya 1K does want to play the hand safe, they do still have a 4-pin. Alright, with that 6-so draw, Tanya 1K feels like the one pin, the one so can come out. It is no chance. With over 2 so's that have been discarded at this point. And a chi here from Abraham. Let's put them into Tenpai. Also waiting on the 4-7 so. So now if a 4 or 7 comes out from Hapon or Tanya 1K, it will be head bumped by Abraham. That's a nice draw for Tanya 1K, but does not... Well, it is a Tenpai. They want to wait on a headless weight. But both the 3 and 4 mans are looking a bit dangerous. But with the 7 so draw from Abraham, the point is Mute Eevee converts the Tanya Dora one hand. And takes the dealership away from Hapon. And now we have a close freeway fight for second place on the table. Tanya 1K, our dealer in East 3, wakes up with a Sozo-ish looking hand, but the shapes aren't quite good. The Dora, I mean, the value isn't quite there right now. You're looking for points with this dealership, so you're gonna take what you can. But you know, this team is very much looking for a first in this Hanchan. Abraham to our left, very nice shapes in the Sozo and Pinzu. Couple hanging door, the dragon tiles can be worked into the hand or discarded as want. To our south, Nano, nice Manzu shapes, and had a couple hanging terminals and honors of her home, which she's currently working through. And lastly, Hapon on the right, in control of this Hanchan, despite dealing into a Mangan or Manganish earlier hand, has a very nice hand as well. Potential of an Itsu in the Pinzu shape. But with some completed rearmaments elsewhere, like this hand is looking very good. There's a pair for you as well, if you want to go the Itsu route. World is your oyster as Hapon here, but you do not want to let the other players catch up. So we'll have to see exactly how aggressively they want to push value in this hand. In the meantime, if I can have a look around the table to see what's happening. Tanya 1K's hand still looking kind of stuck. 2 pairs in hand right now. You got a rearmament completed in the Manzu shape, but nothing else to really work with. Tanya 1K desperately needs to get some points on this dealership to keep the team in contention. And at this stage, we're just waiting to see who can convert the hand. That 2-man draw from Tanya 1K is really good. He's now Ishan 10. Waiting on a couple tiles to bring Tenpai. Really looking to probably find a 5 or 7 so, but is beaten to Tenpai by Abraham, who does Ricci, waiting on a 2-5 pin wait. So the 5 pins are 1 left in the wall, the 2 pins are 1 left in the wall. But now you have a Ricci to work with, and it makes pushing your hand a bit trickier. Especially here, you've got a bunch of hanging Sozo tiles and a 7 so Ricci. It can be quite scary to throw anything sober to that. And this 7-man even wasn't safe, but Tanya 1K does push it. And Nano, I just noticed this hand is looking really nice towards maybe a potential Jinitsu at one point. There is the 7 so from Tanya 1K. Very good draw. Is now waiting on a 4-7 pin for Ricci Pinfu. 2 pin does come from Hapondo, which was Genbutsu to the Ricci dealer, which does deal into Abraham's Ricci. Ricci Pinfu Tanya Dora for Mangan. Cutting Hapon down into 2nd place, but crucially denying Tanya 1K, their dealer Ricci. And now in East 4, Abraham with the lead currently and the dealership. can look to convert this into a win, but obviously we do continue until the dealer does not win. So either Hapon or Nano in very prime position to take away a first. Tanya 1K needs a Haneman or a direct hit Mangan to get there. Direct hit Mangan is actually second place, I believe. If I can math, it is. So you would need to get first, you would need a Haneman almost definitely, I believe. Yes. So, Tupin Dora. Abraham the dealer waking up with two of them can probably look to try and take this hand to Tanyao, but does have a one so to work with right there. Nano in front of us with a 3-man draw. It's a really good draw. If she can flesh out this Sozo shape, she can get to a Ricci with the right draws, even to a 1-2-3 Sunshoku of her own. Having already discarded the one so in the pawn, that kind of hurts though. To our right, her pawn. Looking to try and reclaim the lead. They've lost twice in this game through unfortunate dealings. This hand isn't too bad, but does lack value. And lastly, Tanya 1K. So Haneman, I believe, is what we're looking for here. Is getting close to Tenpai, but the value is a bit lacking. You probably want to be looking to pick up a 2-pin. And then you can Ricci on a Sanmen-chan weight. With Ricci Pinfu Tanya, not Tanya, Ricci Pinfu Dora. Needs Ura to get to Mangan. So doesn't get there, but does find a Ricci waiting on the Sanmen-chan in the Sozu instead, 147. So Ricci Pinfu currently with a Sumo and 2 Ura, it's Mangan. We're gonna need some help to try and get that Haneman, unfortunately. And this is not what you want to see as the other 3 players. You've got a last place Ricci on the table. And no player wants to deal in here, especially not Nano, who is in a precarious 3rd position. You don't know what Tanya 1K has. They could have an Anko of 2 pins. And then you deal into a Haneman, and then all of a sudden you go from first to last. It's absolutely terrifying. And with this Sanmen-chan weight, you have to think it's going to come at some point. And Abraham is in danger with a hanging 7-man, 7-so rather. But quickly glance around the table here. I'm just trying to get stock with the weight. So we've got 1 1-so left in the wall. We have 1 4-so left in the wall. And no 7-sos. So the weight actually isn't that strong unless it comes out from Abraham here, which it will. So it's Ricci Pinfu, no Ura. So in the end, Tanya 1K doesn't even manage to claim another position. Unfortunate, but you know, he kind of was hoping for a little bit more there. But you take your wins where you get them, I guess. But this is not the result that the team is looking for. Even with the deal in though, Abraham does manage to hold on to the victory by 500 points, which is great for Itsu Anko. And that will bring us to the end of the game. So, we should have, the points haven't been updated yet, but I'll just go quickly see if Abraham wants an interview. And I'll pull up the log in the meantime. But this game was it's a bit of a roller coaster in the end. Thanks, Unwisal, I appreciate it. After this, I'm gonna get about 2 hours of sleep, and then I'm off to a flight to Sydney. So, it's been very tight timing for me. Okay. Yeah, so Abraham doesn't want to interview, so we'll just quickly, I'll quickly buzz through the hands, the game. So, started off, Hapon was on a roll once again, with a quick Mangan early, and then a Sumo here. He was, already up to nearly 40k points, but with a deal-in, couple deal-ins in fact, by other players, did manage to end up bringing the lead down, and by the end of South 1, not only had Nano caught up, but with Tanya 1K in a very solid 4th, it was looking not too good for the team. However, Tanya 1K did manage to convert and on a large hand in South 1, in fact, which was this hand here. And with that, it was pretty much all up for grabs. Hapon did manage to grab a couple more wins here, but with another deal in South 3, leaving the onus on Abraham to convert the victory, was able to do so despite the deal in towards the end. Tanya 1K unable to quite find the value they needed in the last hand. Did result in the game ending. And with that, if I can just double check here. Yep, so Cheese or Totoro have put the scores in. So this has left us in the following positions. So, Itsu Anka with that victory did manage to close the gap on AU and SW quite a bit there. Hapon did manage to take a second though, and it was a pretty close second. So the gap gained wasn't quite what it could have been for Itsu Anka. And for Run Devil Run, who did manage to take a pretty decent third, they're not too far off second still. But getting first from here with 2 Hanchans is a pretty tall ask. And Tanya Sensation, unfortunately, these first 2 games haven't gone quite to plan. Taking a third and a fourth is going to leave them with a pretty rough ask in the last 2 Hanchans to try and gain some points back. But this is Mahjong, and pretty much nothing is impossible with the right amount of skill and luck. And with that, I'll take us to the end of the night. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Tomorrow night, you'll be getting Jay, who I believe 600. Is it 600? It is 600. Sorry, my mistake. I forgot there's a second week. Oh my god, I'm silly. Never mind. We got plenty of time left. Plenty of time left. Oh my god. I thought it was the 1 week for some reason. I'm stupid. I knew there was 2 weeks too. Anyway, yeah. Tomorrow night you'll get Jay, and I believe he is having Daisuke and Shori on. Yes, so you'll get Jay with Shori and Daisuke on for some excellent commentary. Week after that will be the last week, which I apparently completely forgot about. With that, you'll be getting both me and Jay, I believe, for all 4 Hanchans. So look forward to that. I'll be grateful to have Jay help carry my crappy commentary. But look forward to it. We'll be back tomorrow night, same time, and the games will keep going. Everyone have a good rest of your day, and